Hello, in this video I want to teach you the basics of MATLAB, how to use MATLAB, what it is in general, and some information about how to uh, start a file, how to write a file, and run it. So this is in general how MATLAB looks like. We have a bunch of windows here. Command window, workspace, current folder, and then we have the details here. And also we have a bar here up here. We have home, plots, and apps. So what MATLAB does is that you can use it for computations of different things. You can use it for just some easy calculations like 4 plus 3, or you can do it for more complicated stuff, like you can say x equals to 4, now y equals to 2 times x, and then you can you can do more complicated things, for example, cosine of pi, or square root of 16, and so on. So if you notice, what I did here was a bunch of simple things, and then the variables that I assigned value to now can be seen here in workspace. So in workspace I have here x, which is 4, y, which is 8, and then a and s, which is the last value you have used. It always stores the last value into a variable called answer, or ans. You can access these variables or the value of them here, and if you have a more complicated, that for example you have a vector 1, 2, 3, now you see the value is 1, 2, 3, and it explains to you that it's 1 times 3, and it's double. When it says it's double, means that the values it's equivalent to float in Python, meaning that these are numbers. If you want to define a complex number, for example, let's say z, and I want to define z to be 1 plus 2 times I. So I would say 1 to I. I can also do it with a j. As you know, complex numbers can be defined with an I or with a j, depending on the subject. In electrical engineering, letter I is reserved for electric circuits, for the current of electric circuits. Therefore, J is being used to define a complex number. Now, so this is the general explanation. Now here we have current folder. I am right now in this path, C users Cyrus, which is my last name, downloads, and then teaching MATLAB is the folder, and there is no other files here. And currently we are looking inside this folder. But if you store files here, obviously, like if you have new files, it's gonna be shown here and you can click on them and use them. Now, what do we do if you want to write a program? As you can see, we have the command window here that you can just write a bunch of stuff. But what if you want to write a code, a more complicated code, and you don't want to just, type everything and press enter and then just look back? So you need to write a script. Now, when I press that button, there is a editor here that is available for me. Whatever I write here in this editor, I can save as an M file, .m as MATLAB file. Okay, so let's do this. X equals to 2, y equals to 3, and then z is equals to x plus y. Now, if I want to run this, I can either press F5 on my keyboard, or I can use this run button. Press this button. When I do this, the first, after playing the or pressing the run button, the first thing that happens is that it asks you, where should I store this file? So MATLAB does not run the M file in the editor before you store it somewhere. When it has a start button here, it means that you haven't stored, you haven't saved this file, so it's not going to run it. All right, so let's call this test MATLAB file. So now it runs it, and it shows the result here. It says x is 2, y is 3, and then z is x plus y, which is 5. So it's showing me everything line by line, everything that it's running. Now, if you notice, the equal sign is highlighted and saying that add a semicolon after the statement to hide the output. Okay, so if I do this and run the file again, it's only gonna say, okay, I run this file and z is equal to 5. Okay, so another thing is to say disp and then z. Now it just says 5. Okay, so this is how you write a script in MATLAB. For more complicated things, we probably want to always write an M file and basically store our work in a script. What you can do when you have a longer code or something is to move these windows around. For example, what I always do is to minimize this window. I don't need it. I minimize this other window, and then I always put the command window here on the right. Okay, now I can write a file here. There are 3 commands that I always use at the beginning of my files. I use CLC. Let's see what happens if I use CLC. CLC cleans or clears the command window. So if I have multiple files or multiple different operations, it always, before starting to show what's happening here in this file, cleans the command window. Let's look at the workspace. If you look at the workspace, I still have the values of v, which is a vector I defined before. So just running this code does not erase or does not replace a variable you have defined before. It's storing that value. If you want to clean everything as all values in variables that you have defined before, you say clear all. So now it only stores the values in the workspace that I'm defining here. Okay. Now let's get to some more complicated concepts. So before getting to more complicated concepts, for people who might have difficulty seeing the screen on their website, on their screen, you can go to Home here, and then there is Preferences, and then you can change the font here. You can change the font, you can change the font size, as well as other other settings here. You can modify them. You can also change the colors. So if the background being white bothers you, you can change that. Okay, now one of the questions that happens, or one of the, I guess, more complicated subjects is that we have two different paths. There is this path. This is where MATLAB right now is looking at. And this is the path that is currently trying to find a file. But what if you don't store your file in that path? Let's start a new file. Let's say clear all, close all. And then, so percent is comment, so new file. So this is now, I'm writing a comment. And I say u is equal to 13 and p is 3 times u. Okay, so and then display p. All right, so if I save this file, not here, let's save it somewhere else. Let's create a new folder and say a new test folder, and I save my second file here. It's going to give me an error. The reason it's going to give me an error is because I have put a space in the file's name, and you're not allowed to do that. Okay, so I remove that. Now if I try to run this, it's going to give me this, show me this box. What is this box saying? What it's saying is that I'm not currently looking into the folder that contains the file you want to run. Now you have two options. Either you can change the folder, so if I press this button, the folder that MATLAB is looking into is going to change into the folder that contains this file, or I can add to path. Adding to path means that there's a list of all places that MATLAB is supposed to look into, and so those are the places that MATLAB is going to check all of those places for a file you're calling. So if you have MATLAB on your personal computer, you can add to path a specific folder that includes all your homeworks or assignments or projects, and then you always are just gonna run your file and it knows where they are stored. All right. For me right now, just change the folder. Now, as you can see, it's looking into new test folder. Now let's talk about these items or options we have up here. So we have a home button. In home button, you can select that you want to write a new script. As you can see, there are tabs that new scripts are being added to. And then you can open a folder. You can open a live script, which we later might talk about. You can import data, and so these are the settings. And then we have this button, Simulink button. Simulink is a product of the same company, which is separate from MATLAB. This window which we are working in is called MATLAB, and then Simulink is a separate product. Other items we have here is, for example, this tab. We have save button and then open a new, and then we have this run button and then step. So step is for when you have a, for example, let's do this. If you have a for loop and you have a code there, you can put a breakpoint when you run the code. it's going to go and stop there. Now you can step to see what happens step by step. So it's for debugging your code. Okay, so this is the first video, the introductory video on MATLAB and how to use it.